Hey there, I'm Fred, the fraud detective. Today, we'll talk about some common fraud schemes that you'll likely encounter in your role at ACME. This training will provide you with the ability to identify red flags for common fraud attempts and will give you instructions on how to report suspected fraud situations. Finally, you'll be required to take and pass a quiz at the end of this presentation to reinforce what we learned in this training. So, let's get started. What is fraud? It's a deliberate misrepresentation that causes a person or business to suffer damages, often in the form of monetary losses. And why is it important? Well, fraud is much more than just a financial loss. It also means an impact on our reputation, diversion of management focus, loss of confidence and morale, increased cost of doing business, potential for adverse partner impact, such as customers going bankrupt, and scale is always larger than expected. There are 5 types of fraud targeting ACME. 1. Account application fraud. 2. Account takeover fraud, or bust-outs. 3. E-commerce fraud. 4. Credit card fraud. And 5. Business identity theft fraud. Let's take a closer look at these. An account application fraud is when a false company application is received to become a customer. If accepted, criminals will order goods and disappear. A bust-out fraud typically happens when well-organized criminal groups secretly acquire an established ACME account. Criminals will misuse trust and start to order large quantities of goods in a short period of time and disappear. The root cause of e-commerce fraud is frequently the result of Trojan keylogger malware. Organized criminal groups are able to secretly acquire customers' logins, passwords, and all information necessary to commit the fraud. Credit card fraud. This type of fraud is most frequently targeted at our customers. It's typically end-user fraud with fraudulent orders placed with victim resellers online with stolen credit card account information provided as payment. And finally, we have business identity theft fraud, also referred to as PO fraud. This is the type of fraud scheme that ACME sales personnel are most likely to encounter. This is how it happens. Sales receives an email or call from a person posing as a real ACME customer. Their objective is to ship orders directly to addresses other than the customer's address, or possibly to a customer's legitimate address, with the intention of diverting the products while they are in transit or intercepting them prior to delivery, often as the carrier approaches the premises. You might be wondering, how can I identify this type of fraud? Great question. Let's all be fraud detectives. There are 3 common red flags. 1. Highly targeted product requests in large quantities. 2. Priority overnight shipping may often be requested. And 3. Ship to address will often be a suspect location. What's the key to catching this? When ACME is directly targeted by a business identity theft PO fraud attempt, the source email address will be a one-off email domain that is false for the customer being impersonated. Threat actors behind this type of fraud scheme will cybersquat one-off false domains to use for email purposes for the fraud scheme. The key to catching this is to always validate email address domains as legitimate. Highly targeted products for fraud include notebooks, tablets, toner, processors, hard drives, projectors, routers and switches, and Apple products, which are highly targeted in Europe. In addition to targeted products, it's crucial to assess where orders are shipped. Ship-to addresses will often be suspect locations such as a freight forwarder, a virtual office, a mail drop location, for example, UPS store, a self-storage company location, or a residential address. Always verify shipping legitimacy. A quick and effective reaction by ACME is required to prevent the negative impact of fraud. If you suspect potential fraud or something doesn't seem quite right with an order, it is crucial that we immediately stop the order placement process. Next steps are to contact the corporate security fraud team for fraud screening support. Our fraud team will immediately respond to confirm fraud or legitimacy of any suspect order reported. If the situation is in fact fraud, Our fraud team will provide instructions and take over the process going forward. If you suspect fraud or need help, email fraud@acme.com. Finally, you should always remember to trust your instincts when you sense something is wrong. You're probably right. Never provide customer account number information over the phone. There is no penalty for the sales coworkers to block a fraudulent order, only recognition. Don't hesitate to reach out to corporate security for assistance at any time. Remember that you are our first line of defense. Prevention matters. We must remember that fraud losses can be devastating. It would take approximately $3 million in offsetting revenue to recover from a $30,000 fraud loss. Thank you for your time. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and remember, fraud prevention starts with you.